Hello. It's great to see you here. You know, organizations are facing increasing demands. Technology is actually accelerating those. And as we are seeing organizations facing a triple challenge, new competitors, new consumers' expectations, we are also seeing an increased demands from our workforce. Among those are the need for more diverse and inclusive organizations. And the challenge that we have as leaders is how do we create an environment where we will propel the careers of our people? How we will do it at scale? During the last 2 years, Globant has not only continued to grow, but has been recognized as one of the best companies in the US for their diversity. So I'm going to be talking today about that. We are a global company with presence in 16 countries. That creates a lot of different stories of why diversity matters. So I would like to start today by asking some of our people, about their stories.
Hello, everyone.
Diversity is me. It's you. It's all of us. It's what makes us unique and special in our own way.
There are people just from all over the world that collaborate in different projects, and very naturally we're able to get ideas from all different kinds of backgrounds.
And we can share experiences and we can share different thoughts.
Accepting the differences and respecting them.
We can look at the same things by different angles and provide totally new look as we usually think.
And the experience is enriching because you gain a very different perspective about the situation.
To be able to share your culture, learn from others, and be part of a team.
It's our makeup. It's what makes us cool. But what's even better about diversity is the humanity that you find in it. That's build bridges. Bridges of hope, of compassion, of love, of empathy, of understanding.
We collaborate with so much ease that over time you actually build friendships with people too.
Bringing these talents together in a single organization allows the creation of a collective intelligence.
Working with so many different people means there's also lots of learning opportunities for me.
I think we are all together in this. We are all equal, and we are having fun, and we are ready.
So, as in any large team, we have a lot of diverse opinions and stories. And, that includes us. I'm going to tell you one anecdote. A few months ago, I was with a few friends celebrating the opening of the office of another friend's company. Fantastic offices. We had lunch together. At the end of that lunch, we just shoot a picture and post it on the social networks. It didn't take more than 5 minutes until a comment appeared. Okay? It's a pity not to see a woman. Have we seen this? Or I believe we have all seen this. As with any of these subjects, it's very hard to actually go and start commenting on social media, particularly on a sensitive subject. But I had the opportunity to actually, a month later, while having dinner in Madrid at a friend's house, I realized that her wife, his wife, was actually the one who made the comment. So it gave me a unique opportunity to actually say, you know what? When I saw your comment, at one point I felt like this is unfair, because what I was looking on this picture was actually a group of friends. Some of them were born when Harry Truman was being elected president. Some of them were born when Lady Gaga was born. Okay? So looking from my own angle, I found a very diverse team, So I would say that the subject of diversity has a lot of these, you need to look at it from certain angles, and it's very hard to actually break that unconscious bias that we may have, when it comes to that. So the subject of today is how do we make it happen? How do we create a more diverse company? And particularly do it at scale, do it sustainably. How do we do that? Really counting people on pictures or asking, okay, how many people, how many women are part of your board is a simple thing. Perhaps simplistic, because it's like a picture that you take. But I believe that as leaders of organizations, we need to create the environment to create fantastic movies. As our people progress from being a trainee all the way up the ladders, and getting eventually to a board. So how you do that at scale, particularly when trying to go and overcome many of our human limitations, the fact that, for instance, I may know a limited amount of people, so I connect to certain number of people. How do I penetrate hierarchies, geographies, and get to know people who really deserves attention? That's a problem. And that was one of the things that led us 12 years ago to actually conduct an experiment that proved extremely powerful and that I would like to share with you today. I remember when we were turning 5 years old as a company, the company was growing at such a fast pace that we knew for sure that we wouldn't be able to recognize everyone by their name, and we wouldn't be next to everyone. But still, we wanted certain behaviors to actually be replicated as if it were a virus. Okay? So this led us we were doing this with the aim of creating an environment where people joining our company would feel extremely valuable and who have the right opportunities. Because no matter how much diversity we can drive to our organizations, if we don't include them into the everyday's work, people will eventually leave. So those are things that are really connected to one another. So what do we see in our workforce? And this applies to pretty much any person who will pivot to your organizations. We see that there are a number of demands. People is looking to be recognized. They want to know that if they do things right, people will recognize them. They also want to know how to accelerate their career development. They want to know in real time where should I improve in my career. Typically, feedback loops of 1 year, like it happens in many organizations, are not suitable enough for an environment where people is expecting to accelerate their careers at a much faster pace. They also want to be a game changer. They want to propose ideas. They want their ideas to be heard. But how do I start in a large organization? Who do I go to if I have an idea? And how do I feel part of something larger? They look for purpose. How do I know that there are things? We are all surrounded here by these 4 walls, and we may not know what's happening next door. Okay? So that's important. And how do I get continuously trained? These are the things that we identified as demands of this workforce that are heavily affected by technology, as they are the consumer expectations. So I believe that we are working in more transparent way, building our organizations. So this led us to an experiment which was to empower every member of the organization to recognize actions and to become a guardian of our culture. So how do we do that? We put into everybody's hands a limited number of stars, which is like a virtual currency, that they can use. So if Craig helped me last night, I'm going to send him a star for being a team player. If Rob brought a great idea, I'm going to give him one for thinking big. But I will explain why I'm giving this, and I will publish it in front of a public activity feed that not only will be where we are not only publishing, but we are also inspiring others to do the same. So this interaction, where that is, or whether if I take my phone and I give you an honest feedback shortly after a meeting, including a voice message, are things that facilitate giving feedback that is relevant, it's appropriate at the right time, and that allows you to improve. Or we take a selfie. So we take a selfie, and the system recognizes who is on the picture, and we are posting that into TV screens and mobile phones of everyone. So people opens their mobile phones or sees the screens on the office, and they say, oh, take a look at what's happening. The other day I was in Lima, and they were playing with some sticky notes, creating a Mario Bros. Character on the walls, and they were actually mimicking something that happened in Mexico the week before, but they saw it over these images. So how collectively we become a more human organization where we can get to know more people, feel part of this, and get to know them deeper was something that we did. So we came up with this initiative that we call Start Me Up OS. It's a social operating system for an organization of the future. It's a kind of technology tissue that once deployed in the organization amplifies our ability to connect, to socialize, to get us to know us better, and to have the right feedback so we can put the organization at full speed. You may wonder, essentially what we were doing is digitalizing emotions for the first time. And you may wonder, okay, how many of these emotions I'm missing? Because the actual truth is that most organizations have transactional systems of record for anything that has a dollar sign in front of it. It's like cold systems. And also we have communicational systems like Slack or Gmail, but these are not systems that allows you to create actually a reputation and to feel value. So at a company like Globant of our size, about once a minute, we are seeing someone celebrating an idea. So here we see Sarah sending to Sarah Mason another star while revving up a new project. Sarah has been meeting with me for one-on-one, sharing sessions and helping me gain more insights into service design. Huge thanks and kudos for her balancing skills and exited positive attitude to help me learn. Okay? So things like this are actually happening all around and help us be on top of what's happening. Okay? At the most basic level, this level of celebration and social interactions started to yield light to very important people that I wouldn't know otherwise. That's the case, for example, of Lucia. Lucia Camps is a video game developer based out of Cordoba, an inner city in Argentina. In a typical scenario, I wouldn't be able to know Lucia, but everybody is pointed at her as a key component to our organizations, celebrating, and everyone who knows Lucia gets inspired, and she creates revolutions all around. Okay, so this is quite easy. On the left-hand side, you see also her DNA as a Glober. Okay, so everybody is able to create a reputation, and everybody is able to see it, but I would say that despite this, which is very simple in nature and allows us to bring opportunities and to get people to accelerate their careers, there are many more things that are happening. There's a ton of research about the importance of diversity and inclusion in the enterprise. But I would argue that given the fact at which this theme is being placed into the agenda of organizational leaders, I would suspect that many of those research have been unread by any of these leaders. Despite that fact, in my own study, it's an empiric study, 12 out of 10 organizations are running diversity and inclusion programs. 12 out of 10, okay? So I believe that pretty much everybody is rushing into showing, okay, we are diverse, we are inclusive, And I would argue that until we are not able to actually build a bridge between the problems that we were focused before, things like, are my teams performing well? Is this company that we acquire really integrating? is my team, are my teams connected? Are people feeling part of this organization and they will not be willing to leave? These are things that are typically associated with the diversity and inclusion that you bring to the organization, but we haven't, for the most part, many organizations haven't built that bridge. So one of these research is one that I came across from Tom Malone, who heads the MIT Center for Collective Intelligence. What Tom says is that intelligence doesn't only reside in our brains. That when we form teams, and provided that we have certain connectivity, a collective intelligence will emerge. And he has been able to associate the collective intelligence of a team to be greater when you have more diverse, more women into the team, which he associates to the fact that on average, women tend to be more perceptive than men are, okay? So that's what he came across, but he also mentioned that the level of decision-making within the team, and given the fact that that decision-making is distributed, also plays a significant role into increasing the collective intelligence of that team. But how do we know what level of decision-making, how hierarchical, how networked is the team? Actually, there are some other studies who show that teams like these ones, who are all connected with everyone, bear an efficiency signature, okay? So we decided, as leaders, we are playing all the time with the org chart. When we increase our business, we are reshuffling the org chart. We are moving one people here, he proves to be good here, I'm gonna give him an opportunity there. Or we can merge two divisions or split them, and we are playing with the org chart, which is like playing with the skeleton of the organization. The org chart is what we would see if we could pass the organization through an X-ray. But what will happen if we were able to look at the organization with an MRI scan, okay? Which we didn't have before, but now we do. So with Start Me Up, we are starting to map what are the real relationships between the people, and understanding that there are different ways of leading and different ways in which social dynamics are affecting different teams. These are two very different teams who are handled in different ways. As you can see in the team on the right, you see a lot of more central nodes, which indicate a more hierarchical structure. On the other hand, you see all connected people, which assumes that people is sharing and moving from one team to another, and creating a different thing. On the periphery, we are also seeing that there is an improvement in including all those people who still have not been recognized. And as I will show you in a few slides, I want to tell you about the importance of including people as a way to mitigate attrition. So this is not just looking at this dynamic is not the only way in we can see it. We can actually start to understand different teams' compositions and look it from different angles. Like for example, we can see how engaged they are, and we are not only mitigating but also predicting attrition. We are also seeing, and we want to include more women into our teams, and we are also working on adding more angles of diversity to it. We are also seeing the social dynamics as a way to increase our sustainability. The talent availability, particularly in the tech sector, demands for organizations to look into the long term. If we were asked to actually create teams full of all PhDs, we wouldn't be inclusive, isn't it? So we need to think on how to bring young talent in and give them an opportunity working side by side with more experienced co-workers. So this is a way in which we can take a look at the organization at a different level. There are other scenarios in which we need to see what's happening. merge and acquisitions is an interesting one. Actually, the process of merging and acquisition is one that is full of emotions. Fear, anxiety, nostalgia are affecting the way in which people integrate to one another. There's always a divide between us and them, the future and the past. And we have discovered that analyzing different merger and acquisitions, we are seeing some that happen much faster than others, and we are learning from that. So here you can see an acquisition that it took like 2.5 years to actually be fully integrated, okay? So we can see there that the large bubble is someone who's trying to connect and to inspire others, but eventually, until you get here, it took us differently. But this is not the only case. There are some who happen much faster, and you have it in less than a year. So why this matters? Because while we are assigning people to lead the integration of a company, we are blind about what's really happening there and how much collaboration is happening. And believe me, that collaboration is the bridge by which people creates trust, and trust accelerates development and opportunities for everyone. Another angle that is extremely important is the one of attrition. We have discovered that including people in and feeling them part of the team dramatically increases the likelihood of being part and being willing to stay in the company. Let me give you an idea with some real data. Here we are seeing that people who are actively sending and receiving stars, they feel value, they feel part of the network, they are building social capital. Those are living just by 5%, which for technology is a pretty low attrition rate. In exchange, those who do not exchange stars, neither send or receive at the other end of the spectrum, they live by 32%, which is very in line with what's happening on the high-tech companies, okay? So we see a dramatical change there. Thankfully, the vast majority of the people, 80% of our participants approximately, are actively sending and receiving stars, which means that this fits right into what they want to do. They feel empowered and they love to be able to recognize people. But on the other hand, we also started to analyze what will happen. Could we predict who may leave the company? And actually, we did find correlations that show several weeks before that happens that someone may be leaving the company with an 80 to 90% likelihood depending on the organization using this technology. So imagine, we wouldn't call that a definitive, okay, you are leaving, but definitely it deserves to have a coffee. Any leader can focus on that person to have a coffee and to try to help them. Actually, being able to move someone who's not sending stars or receiving stars to receive a star will dramatically decrease the chances of leaving the company. So all this is like looking at it from the top, looking at what's really happening on the organization as if it were an organism. But we continue to be individuals. And believe me, it's unscalable and impossible to actually develop the kind of career path and employee experience unless we don't count with the power of technology and data to help us there. That's why we've been working heavily on creating an assistant that, using artificial intelligence, using data, helps every member of the organization to take the next step. It could be a suggestion on who to meet. I suggest you to meet Wanda, for example, to increase, for you to actually be connecting two separate parts of the organization, because we understand that these kind of relationships, being connector, plays a significant role into moving up in the hierarchy and increasing your visibility. we can also give you comparison of people like you, who they typically connect, how much feedback they give, how much feedback they receive, and increase that. So all in all, as I started, I truly believe in the power of using technology, data, and AI, augmenting our organizations. We're actually expanding the opportunities for all. That's what I wanted to share with you. Thank you very much.